All right, so today we're going to learn 15.1, which is interior and exterior angles. So if you have a triangle, and let's say I take this edge of the triangle off, this angle, and I put it on the line like so. Then let's say I rip this corner of the triangle off and put it on the line. Then I rip the top and then flip it. I can slide that angle to fill that hole. Now, from previous lessons, you learned that a line has 180 degrees. Well, notice the three angles come together to make 180 degrees. To see this another way, we have angle 1 here in the triangle. Notice that that's alternate interior angles with angle 4. They're opposite sides, but inside the parallel lines. So these two would be equal. You could do the same thing with angle 3 and 5. These are also alternating interior angles. And then notice when you include angle 2, the three angles of the triangle, the blue, the pink, and the green, add up to 180 degrees. So we can say in any triangle, the sum of the angles in a triangle will always add to 180 degrees. So in this picture here, I can add these three angles in my triangle to add to 180 degrees. So x plus 27 plus 82 equals 180. I can add the 27 and 82. So this gives me x plus 109 equals 180. So to get x by itself, I would subtract 109 from both sides. So x equals 71 degrees. And notice that's what the question was asking, so we fill that in the box. For number 2, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to add up all three angles to 180 degrees. So the x minus 1 plus the 3x plus 4 plus the 3x plus 9 equals 180. We have to combine like terms in this case. So we have 8x plus 3x plus 3x. That makes 14 x's. I have a negative 1 plus 4 plus 9, which makes 12. And then we can drop the equals 180. So to solve for x, I'm going to minus the 12 from both sides of the equal sign. So that leaves me with 14x equals 168. To get x by itself, divide by 14, I'm going to get x equals 12. And notice that's what it's asking for, so fill in the blank. For number 3, this is a triangle, so these three angles are going to add up to 180 degrees. So we're going to add the 2x plus 1 plus the 5x plus 5 plus the, remember what that box means. It means it's 90 degrees. So those will add up to equal 180. So then we combine like terms. I have 2x plus 5x, which makes 7x. 1 plus 5 plus 90 is 96. And then drops the equals 180. Minus 96 from both sides. The 7x equals 84. Divide by 7, you get 12. Notice this is not asking for x. This is asking for the measure of angle A. Well, angle A is 2x plus 1. So I'm going to plug the x for 12 into the angle here. So it's 2 times 12, which is 24, plus 1, which makes 25. So the measure of angle A is 25 degrees. Now we're going to name the angle. So if it has 3 sides, we call that a triangle. 4 sides is called a quadrilateral. 5 sides is a pentagon. If it has 6 sides, it's a hexagon. Hex 6. You have an X in both. 7 is called a heptagon. 8 is called an octagon. 9 is called a nonagon. 10 is a decagon. 11 has 2 different names. You could call it an undecagon, but you could also call it just an 11gon. 12 is called a dodecagon. And then they didn't give 13 a name, so we're going to call it 13gon. And anything beyond that would be called an n-gon. So now we're going to fill out this chart. We have the number of sides, so notice if it has 3 sides, that's our triangle. So the number of triangles formed from one vertex is just one triangle. So the sum of the measures of the interior angles, if I add these three angles up, I should get 180 degrees. If we have four sides, notice I can connect this to this. Now I've broken it up into two triangles. So if I add this angle, and this angle, and then this triangle's angles, I actually end up with two triangles that have 180 degrees each. So this would give me 360 degrees, 180 for each of the two triangles. For five sides, we could connect it to the two sides here. Notice I've made three triangles. So there are three triangles in a pentagon. And then 180 times 3 gives you 540. For six sides, you can break it up into four triangles. And then 180 times four triangles is 720 degrees. For a seven-sided shape, a heptagon, we can break this up into five triangles. 180 degrees in each of the five triangles gives you 900 degrees. Well, what if we jump up? What if we have 10 sides? So notice I can break this up into triangles. How many triangles would there be? Well, in this case, there is 8. And 180 degrees in each of the 8 triangles gives you 1,440. Well, what if we want this for any number of sides? So this is going to be the n-gon. Notice, compare the number of sides of the shape to the number of triangles. Notice that it's always 2 less. So we can take 2 less than the number of sides. That's how many triangles we'll have in our shape. And then what do you do once you know how many triangles? Well, we multiplied it by 180. So I'm going to multiply this times 180. And then for this chart, a shape is equilateral if all of the sides are marked congruent. A shape is equiangular if all of the angles are congruent. And then a shape is regular if all of the sides and all of the angles are congruent. So everything's equal. So equilateral is just the sides. Equiangular is just the angles. Regular is both. So putting our formulas here, we have the sum of the interior angles. We said that's n minus 2 times 180 degrees. But if you're trying to find each interior angle of a regular polygon, notice this is the sum. And if I want to find each angle and they're all the same, I can divide it by n for the number of angles in the shape. So number 4 says to find the sum of the interior angles of a 20gon. So we're finding the sum. So our formula is n minus 2 times 180. This has 20 sides, so I'm going to plug in 20 for n. We're going to simplify the parentheses first. So 20 minus 2 is 18. So we have 18 triangles in a 20gon. And then you multiply that by 180 degrees in each triangle. And you should get 3,240 degrees. Number 5, we're finding the sum. So it's still the same formula. But this time it's a 102gon. So I'm going to plug 102 in for n. So PEMDAS, simplify your parentheses first. 102 minus 2 is 100. And then 100 times 180 is 18,000. Number 6, this time we're finding each interior angle. So we're finding each of these angles. We're not doing the n minus 2 times 180. We have to divide it by the number of angles. Since it's a pentagon has 5 sides, so we're going to plug in 5 wherever you see an n. So it's 5 minus 2 times 180, and then we're going to divide that by 5. So 5 minus 2 is 3, and that's still over 5. 3 times 180 is 540, and now we divide it by the 5 equal angles, so we get 108 degrees in each of those angles. Number 7, find the number of sides of a polygon has if the sum of the interior angles is 1620. So this is our formula to find the sum of the interior angles, and they're telling us that this equals 1620. So my job is to solve for n. There's two ways you could do this. You could distribute and then simplify, or I can notice these are being multiplied, so I could divide both sides by 180. Notice the 180s cancel. So I'm left with n minus 2 equals 9. To get n by itself, I just add the 2. So n equals 11. All right, so we're supposed to find the indicated variable. So I'm using that n minus 2 times 180. So if you count up, it ends up the number of angles will always equal the number of sides of the shape. So notice there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides, or 5 angles, either way to look at it. So using my formula, I'm going to do 5 minus 2 times 180. 5 minus 2 is 3, and 3 times 180 is 540. That means all of these angles are going to add up to 540. So if I go x plus 90 plus 143 plus 77 plus 103, that should equal 540. So if I add up the angles, I have 413. And then to solve for x, I would just subtract 413 from both sides and get 127. For part B, notice we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sides. So using our formula, it's 9 minus 2 times 180. 9 minus 2 is 7. So 7 times 180 is 1260. So these angles are going to add up to 1260. So when I add them, I have x plus 125 plus 130 plus 172 plus 200 plus 140 plus 102 plus 98 plus 135. That all adds up to 1102. But they should be adding up to 1260. So to solve for x, I'm just going to subtract the 1102, and I get x equals 158 degrees. Part C, notice there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides, 5 angles. So it's 5 minus 2 times 180. 5 minus 2 is 3, and 3 times 180 is 540. So now we're going to add these angles up to 540. So if I notice here, I have x plus x, that makes 2 x's. And then I have 90 plus 90 plus 90. That makes 270. So I have 2x plus 270 should add up to equal 540. So to solve for x, I'm going to subtract the 270 from both sides. So 2x equals, subtracting these, I get 270. So then I divide by 2, and I get 135 degrees. For D, notice there's 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. So it's 4 minus 2 times 180. 4 minus 2 is 2, and then 2 times 180 is 360. So I have to add up all of these angles to 360 degrees. So notice 2x plus 2x plus 2x plus 2x, that makes 8x. And then 20 plus 20 makes 40, and that equals 360. So to solve for x, I'm going to subtract the 40. These cancel. So 8x equals 320. Divide by 8, x equals 40. Part E says determine the unknown interior angle measure of a convex octagon in which the measures of the 7 other angles have a sum of 940 degrees. So octagon is 8 sides. So when we use our formula, we're doing 8 minus 2 times 180. 8 minus 2 is 6. So 6 times 180 is 1080. So if the angles are unknown, x, plus the other angles add to 940, we can add these up and it should equal 1080. So to solve for x, subtract 940 from both sides, and x equals 140 degrees. For F, Determine the unknown angle measure in a hexagon whose 6 angles measure 69, 108, 135, 204, B, and 2B. So again, this is a hexagon that is 6 sides. So 6 minus 2 times 180. 6 minus 2 is 4, and 4 times 180 is 720. So I'm going to add these angles up to 720 degrees. So B plus 2B, that makes 3B. And then when I add the 204, 135, 108, and 169, I'm going to get 516, and that should equal 720 degrees. To solve for B, I'm going to minus the 516. So 3B equals 204. Divide both sides by 3, I get B equals 68 degrees. So that's our unknown angle. All right, so we are going to shift gears a little bit. We've been talking about only the inside angles, but now we're going to talk about the exterior angle. So these two angles here are called the remote interior angles. These are angles that are opposite the exterior angle. And the exterior angle is the angle outside the triangle opposite the remote interior angles. So if I'm supposed to find angle B, what we can learn is that the exterior angle, 145, will equal the sum of the two remote interior angles, meaning I can add these guys up. So the 2z plus the 5z minus 2. So the outside angle will always equal the two inside angles added up. So now I have to drop the 145 equals. 2z plus 5z is 7z minus 2. To get z by itself, I'm going to add the 2 over. So I get 147 equals 7z. Divide by 7, we get 21. But notice it's asking for angle B. So I'm going to plug this to find angle B. So it's 5 times 21 minus 2. 5 times 21 is 105. Minus 2, you get 103. So that is the measure of angle B. For part B, the outside angle, 3x minus 8, equals the two inside angles added together. So we have x plus 2 plus another 90. So I can drop the 3x minus 8 equals, I have to combine like terms over here, so it's x plus 2 plus 90 is 92. I need to get x on the same side of the equal sign, so I'm going to subtract 1x from both sides. So 3x minus x is 2x minus 8. These cancel, and I get 92. To get x by itself, I'm going to add the 8 over. So I get 2x equals 100. Divide by 2, I get x equals 50. But notice I'm looking for angle PRS. So I'm finding this outside angle. So I'm going to plug it in here and go 3 times 50 minus 8. 3 times 50 is 150. Minus the 8, you get 142 degrees for angle PRS. C is done the same way. You put the outside angle equals the two inside angles added together. So we can drop the 5x plus 50 equals, and then combine like terms, I get 3x plus 7 plus 63 is 70. I have to get x on the same side of the equal sign, so I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. So 5x minus 3x is 2x, plus 50 equals 70. Minus 50 from both sides, I get 2x equals 20. Divide by 2, I get x equals 10. But I'm looking for angle N, so I'm going to plug it in and get 3 times 10 plus 7, which is 30 plus 7, which is 37 degrees. Okay, the next one says if the exterior angle drawn measures 150 degrees and angle D is congruent to angle E, find the measure of angle E. So if these are two congruent angles, I can call them both x since they're the same. So we go the outside angle 150 equals the sum of these two angles. So that'll be x plus x, which is 2x. Divide by 2, I'm going to get 75. We're trying to find the measure of angle E. Well, E is just x, so E is 75 degrees.